What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Shepherd channel, coming to you with the fastest edition ever on a Monday of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks in the NBA streets. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Recording this after midnight here, basically, on the East Coast, right around 9 p.m. here on the Pacific time zone, because that's a thing. Anyway, Lindy50, if you guys want to sign up for the Discord, which, hey, I finally hit an NFL play over the last 2 weeks in the NFL streets. I mean, it's wild. I had 8 profitable weeks, 8 of the last 9 profitable weeks in the NFL streets. And the last 2 weeks have just made me feel like I don't know anything about the NFL. I mean, between Washington winning, fortunately, I didn't bet Jaden Daniels over rushing props there. That was good. But Justice Hill, over 7.5 rushing yards. That was done in the first quarter. It was done in the first quarter. That was great. That was to the moon. Knocks in the moon. But Philly, you can't make a field goal. You can't make a freaking extra point. So now, yeah, we end up pushing that -6, which was really, really sad. I had money floating on that one. And then I can't even talk about the Austin Eckler thing. 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns for the Washington running backs, who had the highest snap share by 1%. Brian Robinson Jr. had 2 touchdowns, but otherwise, Austin Eckler, nearly 50% of the snaps, played phenomenal football, 80-plus total yards from scrimmage, no touchdowns, but had 2 carries inside the 5, didn't get in on either at plus 250 against the Lions, which obviously they were a shell of themselves, but I'm going to try to get this done really, really quick. We got NBA. We got 8 games. I'm going to give you my plays. I'm going to do less analysis than normal because it's a holiday on Monday for the people. And yeah, we're just going to talk really, really fast. So producer Jacob, without further ado, got to get the people the information. And obviously, if you're hearing this early on Monday morning, go ahead and skip if you missed the first game. Skip if you missed the second game. Games going all throughout MLK and Inauguration Day. Producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. Dallas at Charlotte to kick it all off here. And I had 3 totals. And we're going to play them all in succession. Now, not Succession, the show, which was fantastic until, I don't know, I'd be a little bit pissed off if I didn't get the company. And it's like, well, what are we actually doing here? What are we actually doing here? I'm not going to do any spoiler alerts on the show. Just know it's not who you think it is. Can't believe you got the company. But Dallas at Charlotte here, over 223. I like it. Right off the bat, you got Dallas -5 here, taking on Charlotte. You have to pay attention to the news. Brandon Miller's going to be out here for the foreseeable future, potentially the rest of the entire regular season. But you run this one through. Derek Lively is questionable. I would love for him to be out here because defensively, he adds a lot to the gamut. And I didn't expect him to even be questionable coming into this one. Mark Williams, do your dance. Mark Williams, do your dance. Detroit at Houston next here, and obviously I want to give you the plays. This is very, very important. Amin Thompson is questionable. I hope he's in for this one because defensively he brings a lot to the table, but the only guy that you have out from either team right now, because we know Jaden Ivey's going to be out for Detroit, we know Jabari Smith's going to be out here for Houston. Only guy who's questionable is Amin Thompson, so there's nothing else that we need to try to evaluate, so it's a pretty easy evaluation, and yet somehow, somewhere, we're getting 224 when I have this at 218 and change. Now, the reason I'm not locking this is Amin Thompson really swings this in one direction or the other because defensively, who are you getting from the Houston side? You're getting absolutely nothing in Jayshawn Tate. You're getting more minutes for Cam Whitmore. You're getting more minutes for Tari Eason, who did close in that last game. And that was super tilting. I'm not going to even talk about it. So under 224, I like it. Half unit, pretty straightforward for me. Again, Amin Thompson, if he's in, you could probably leave this off the card just ever so slightly, be more in like the 221 and change range. But 218 and change, I definitely like that. It would almost be a lock, but big Q tag that is hanging. Said I had 3 in a row. Here's your third. Minnesota +4.5 taking on Memphis here. And again, it's a holiday. So I'm going to just fly through this a little bit here purely because, well, I want to get you the plays and I don't want you to miss out on anything. I don't want you to feel like you're missing out on hanging out with your friends. I don't want you to feel like you're missing out on my bets. And under 235.5 looks really, really good, doesn't it? Yeah, Memphis. Here's the thing. We had 240.5 that was locked. It closed at 235 or 234.5, depending on where you looked at. 235.5, some books too. But that is 5 points of closing line value. And what does Memphis do? They put up 140 points against San Antonio on Friday with John Morant out. It was a stone cold joke. I have nothing else to say about it. All I know is that these are huge totals to evaluate Memphis that is playing unsustainably well, shooting over 45% from three over their last week, shooting over 50% from the field over the last week. You got to look at regression, and regression against Minnesota coming into Memphis is very live to happen. I think it's a pretty efficient spread, but in this spot, under 235.5, let's get to my favorite play, though, of the entire day. So we went in over total, we went in under total, we went in under total, and now we're going to go to a prop. Finally, we got to the prop streets for the people who are playing over on underdog. And here's the thing. Normally, I preach you should never play anything less than minus 120 or better over on underdog unless you have correlation that is in play or unless you have something else that can show up where it's like, oh, this makes sense. And here's the thing. I actually so much disagree with this opening line that you could play this even though it's plus 100. And the prop that I'm going to play out for you is plus 100 right now. I'm still going to lock it here at the sports books and pick'em sites, even though it's not the minus 120 or better. I think you should jam this. Atlanta plus 18 on the New York Knicks. We have a big Q tag in this one as well. Obviously, the totals can fluctuate. It's Karl Anthony Towns. We also have Josh Hart, who is questionable here in this one. And I will say multiple things. First off, we have Trae Young, we have Jalen Johnson, both back in the fray, not the band, but in this game. So that is very important because Jalen Johnson, he can kill into the rebound rates. He can do a lot of things, but Jalen Johnson did not distribute his first game back, and that is kind of outside of the norm for him. They played some interesting rotations because Vic Krejci is starting to knock down shots. They're playing exclusively through Trae Young, and Trae Young in the Garden is confirmed a thing. If you look at the Garden, I'm not a big he goes in there, but he loves to go then. He loves to chuck it when he really shouldn't and talk shit to Spike Lee on the sidelines, do whatever else. And it's hard for the data to really catch up to something like that because it's just basically it's like an evaluation that you're watching a person do. But I will say Trae Young, his usage goes up 4% playing in the Garden relative to his baseline over the last 3 years. That's something to pay attention to. But that's not my evaluation for this one. My favorite play from this game is Onyeka Okongwu over 10.5 points. It's currently even money at Caesar Sportsbook, and that is just absolutely broken. I think FanDuel hasn't released this line here yet, and I'm very curious where they open it because they've been a little bit sharper in the NBA streets at times this season. But I want to throw a couple of things out here. 27, 28, 32 minutes. Those are his last 3 games that Onyeka Okongwu's played. He's playing over Clint Capella. Clint Capella, if you get a Jericho Sims out there, maybe he can take advantage of that and walk himself into 24 minutes. But I think Clint Capella's on the trade block. And Okongwu, much more team-friendly contract. They're giving him more minutes. He's playing more alongside Jalen Johnson, Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, the entire core. Vic Krejci, which is now part of this core, wild to say. But Okongwu, he has demolished this the last 3 games. And I don't care about the last 3 games. What I care about is the change in role. He is playing over Clint Capella. He offensively brings more to the table. And at +8 here, you need more offense. 232.5, you need more offense taking on the Knicks, especially if Towns and Hart are in. So, Okongwu, 10.5 points. I've got him at 14. It's an absurd disparity. And it should speak to how much do minutes projections matter. It's like everything in terms of what I do in the NBA streets. Minutes projections matter so much, and it's probably the thing I've talked about the least amount on this program, which is kind of a fault of my own at times. But Okongwu, this is not a fault of mine. My favorite play, bar none, jam it. I've jammed it for 1.5 units now at this point in time. 1 unit posted in the Discord, another half. Then I ended up firing when that even money showed up again and multiple other books. That's all I got for you. Let's talk Discord. You want to get all the plays? Here are the plays. $10 for your first week, $25 for your first month at the Discord link below using promo code Lindy50. If you want to get into the Lindy Discord, if you enjoy this program day in, day out, hey, maybe you want to talk crap to me. That's just fine too. Lindy50 can be a 50% off coupon for you, whether it's your first week, whether it's your first month, any of those either. Again, it's $20 for your week otherwise, $50 for a month otherwise. If you want to check it out and see what I got to offer, which again, the NFL streets has been garbage for the last 2 weeks of the playoffs. But again, profitable in 8 of the last 9 weeks over the course of the last, 9 weeks of the regular season. That's good stuff. NBA streets have been awesome. We had a great Monday through Thursday before Friday was stupid. So there's that. Felt really good about our week last week in the NBA streets. Saturday, Sunday, take it or leave it. But Lindy50 down below at the link. Would love to see you there. Alrighty, y'all. 4 more games, halfway point. Let's get back to the picks. Phoenix, 7 points they're getting going up against Cleveland. And Cleveland, one of the better regular season teams this entire season. I don't think there's any question about that. And it sucks because my modeling really liked Minnesota once Evan Mobley got upgraded to questionable. And we jammed it in the premium Discord. We got a 1.5 of closing line value. And you know what happened? Cleveland murdered Minnesota in the fourth quarter. Like, you can't write that stuff up. It is what it is. Sometimes you run into bad variance. But we're trying to get ahead of the curve. And I think this is one of those where we just kind of stay away. But from a prop perspective, we have all the props from this one because neither of them played on on Saturday or Sunday. No, they played on Saturday. Didn't play on Sunday. Now they're Monday. That's the day that it is. But we got Kevin Durant and Devin Booker at -120, -108, respectively, on 27.5 points. I'm leaning towards the under of both of them. I think there's some correlation there where you think about a blowout. If Cleveland wins and you want to back them at -7, just throw Devin Booker under 27.5 points and Kevin Durant under 27.5 points. Put them together and get some smashes together to, again, the correlation is such a big deal, the single game parlays. And if you're a sharp bettor, you won't get your account limited. You want to throw a couple of those red herrings in. I don't know what the hell that was. Let's just go to the next game. Last play of the day, and I know I'm going to fly through these 2 games after it, just talking to you and setting the stage for you. Wanted to talk through the betting perspective. Boston, -7.5 taking on Golden State. Golden State, big news on their side. No Kyle Anderson, no Jonathan Kuminga, no Brandon Podziemski, but the other one, no Draymond Green, who's going to be out for a little bit of time with calf tightness. They're going to basically put him on ice. You might not see him again until like right before the All-Star break, which would be a little bit brutal. Now, Draymond Green, he's podcasting. He's living his life because he's got to know. But I got to throw this out there. I've got this closer to 5.5, and I'm not a big stand of like betting against Boston. So you have to know when I am betting against Boston, I'm kind of seeing something that I should take advantage of. And what I'm taking advantage of here is always the potential. They've played, they had a back-to-back Friday, Saturday. They didn't play Sunday, but they try to rest some guys in some of these spots. They're traveling to the West Coast, and now you could see some extra rest candidates that show up in the middle of the afternoon on Monday just on a whim, because that happened on Saturday after the back-to-back. Porzingis was questionable, came out, sat out. Al Horford ended up sitting out, and you ended up getting, Peyton Pritchard, even with all the guards back in, puts up like a 20 spot, just absolutely smashes it. I wasn't on it, which sucked, but I have been paying attention all the time on these Boston spots. I like Golden State +7.5 here, which is a little bit brutal to say out loud, but the big thing, Stephen Curry, questionable. If he's out and you are risk averse, do not play this, but I'm pretty sure Steph Curry, they would have just ruled out with Draymond Green if there was any doubt whatsoever, and it's a left ankle sprain. I think he plays through it. And as such, you shouldn't be getting 7.5 here at home for Golden State with all the offense going through Steph. Steph can just go out and win this game by himself, although you just need him to keep it inside of 7. That'd be great. Utah at New Orleans. This is such a headache. Such a headache. I don't even have words for it. Zion Williamson, questionable. Yves Messi, questionable. And then on the Utah side, Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, Johnny Juzang, and John Collins all out. Those are 5 of their 6 best players that are going to be sitting out for them. You've had Collier play all right. Keontae George has played really well here of late. Cody Williams, I don't know what is it that you do here? What do you do here? If you look at the box scores, you're knowing what I'm talking about. Svi Mikhailuk, who started last time out and looked pretty good. And then Walker Kessler, who's back in after resting last time on Utah for Saturday. So this is a freaking disaster. Now, there is some usage that's going around for the likes of DeJounte Murray and CJ McCollum when Zion's out. Trey Murphy has been the best of all 3 of them offensively. And his efficiency is up through the moon, but that's also making kind of for an efficient number because the usage can't go up to anywhere. There isn't like a range of outcomes. He's just good. It's kind of easy to evaluate him unless he shoots 80% instead of 50% from the field, instead of shooting 40% from 3 like he does every single time out. But I like the Utah side of this one +10.5 purely because if you get news to break your way, Zion out, Missy out, Walker Kessler should have some fun. might look to attach something on the Utah plus side to Walker Kessler, where the only way that he really hits his points prop, rebound prop, is by this game staying competitive. And when you get these double-digit spreads and you get a guy like Walker Kessler who's not going to be in inside of the last 6 minutes if they're down 15, those are the guys you want to attach to it. It's kind of the inverse of Peyton Pritchard, where we want to play Boston guys minus 15 and then attach Peyton Pritchard to it because he goes out and annihilates at the end of games. You don't care? Cool. Let's get to the last game. Last one, Chicago taking on the Clippers. Clippers on a back-to-back, and the Clippers, oh boy, did they just run the Lakers out of the building there. It ended up a little bit closer than the box score would indicate. 116-102. The big thing, of course, is Kawhi Leonard played on Sunday. I do not expect him to play here on Monday, and yet I would lean towards the Clippers here getting the points. And the main reason is that you still get Harden. You still get a lot of the guys who were able to kind of coast in towards the end of that one. There was a 24-point game in that third quarter against the Lakers, and LeBron gained a little bit more usage, looked a little bit better there towards the end of that one. But Clippers minus 6.5. If I had to do anything right now without knowing what Chicago's going to do on a back-to-back, because they're on a back-to-back themselves, they ended up sitting, Javon Carter, Chris Duarte. We don't care about that. I expect Lonzo Ball to be back in, but maybe you get a piece, Zach LaVine, who's going to be on the trade deadline block. I mean, he's on that every year, forever. But Clippers, minus 6.5, just a lean. Probably my favorite lean of the grouping, though. And that does it for Monday's Martin Luther King edition and inauguration edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Head to the comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on the board for this lovely Monday slate we have before us. Monday through Friday, I'm going to be here hanging in the NBA streets and obviously the NFL streets. Oh, my God. Thank you, Justice Hill, for salvaging. Thank you for Philly for not murdering me at minus 6. That was great. I thought we were going to lose that one towards the end of that game, too. Oh, Austin Eckler, man. 3 Washington rushing touchdowns. 50% of stats. 47% if we're being Lindy50, I'd love to see you in the Discord. Let's kick it, friends. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Thank you, producer Jacob. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Monday. See you here on Tuesday.